Hey, welcome back to Calimero channel. I'm Fran and I'll be showing you everything you need to know about Calimero network, peer-to-peer systems and privacy applications. In previous video I showed you how to install and run Calimero nodes, and today we are going to continue with the application installation for the Calimero node or merod, and we are going to also create a context to show you how the network works. So in previous video we used Merobox and merod to initialize and run the nodes. Today we are going to continue with the same tools, but this video is going to be split into two parts. In first part I will go through the process of installing application and creating context with meroctl, which is paired with merod, and in next video I will go in depth on Merobox, how to use Merobox workflows and how to do the same process with Merobox. For a start, let's have a quick recap. So applications for Calimero network are applications written in Rust or JavaScript, and they are then built and compiled into WASM. Why WASM? Because our nodes run WASMer, which handles the application logic. Another thing which is different from normal Rust and JavaScript applications is CRDT types that are used inside the Calimero applications. CRDTs, or conflict-free replicated data types, which are specialized structures used in distributed systems which allow multiple copies of data to be updated independently. They also get merged without coordination and guaranteeing all replicas eventually converge to the same state. Okay, now when we know that, let's go to the next concept, which is context. And context is a network where peers connect and they are bounded by an application. So for each application there is a context, and what this means is that the nodes get connected inside the network and they can then use the application. And by use the application I mean to call the change and view methods on the applications. In the most simple example, let's take a look at the counter example. Imagine two nodes are connected inside the network or context and they both try to click on the button. So the CRDTs handle the merging of the data. So for example, if we click +1 and the other node clicks again +1, then we won't have 2. If we start from 1, we will have 3 when they merge the data and when they sync, because the first node updates it to +2 and the second node updates it to +3. In more complex examples, you can actually use any modern application because the system supports that. For example, we have built the large-scale chat application, which is similar to Slack or Teams, which has channels which are public, which are private. You also have DMs, which are private between you and your peer. So now we'll start with the technical part of this video, and if you want, you can open up the documentation at quick start so you can follow along, because all the steps will be written down. So let's open up the terminal and I will write the command to initialize and to start node 1 with merod. In previous video I did the same thing, so I will repeat it right now. Because in order to install the application on the node, we have to have the node running. So let's do that. Merod init, and after that is finished, we do merod run. Now when we have the node running, I will open up another terminal and I will do command to get the template applications for Calimero, and we are going to use npx for that. So we will do npx create mero app and we'll call it my app. What this will do, it will download the key value example from our repositories, which has the logic folders, workflow folders, and the application folder. The application folder is a folder that contains front-end to interact with the logic, which will be running on the node, and logic contains Rust files which define logic and data structures for key value store example. Just to mention, key value store example is just a simple key value storage where you can set key and value, and you can also return the data for the key that is set. Okay, let's do npx create mero app with my app. Then we can change directories to my app, and I will open up the code editor so we can see more on the folder structure that I was mentioning before. As you can see, we have the app, we have the logic, and we have the workflows. Just one thing to mention, workflows are used with the Merobox, and I will show that in the next video. And let's do a quick review of the logic of the application, which is written in Rust. For example, we see that we have defined struct key_store, which has items, which is unordered map. It has LVV register, which means last write win registry, which handles the CRDT merge. Also, we see that we have events. We can also do events for value changes, for updates, for removed. And then we can also see we have the init function, which just initialized unordered map. We have the set functions, and we have other functions as well, but for this example we will just use set and get, which are the simplest functions to set item and to get the item back. Okay, and now when we did a review of application written in Rust, we are going to use the command to build the application and compile it to WASM, because if you remember from the beginning of the video, Calimero application is application which is compiled to WASM because the node can only run WASM applications. So let's do npm run logic build. Let's wait a second for it to finish building. And now we can see in the rest folder that we have key_store.wasm, which is the built and compiled application. Okay, and now we are going to use the command to install the application on the node. We're going to use meroctl, and for the last flag --path, we're just going to add the logic/res/key_store.wasm for the path. When we run this command, we should get the output back, which is application was installed, and we get the application ID. Next, we're going to use meroctl create context command. It has protocol flag, which we will use near protocol. If you want to learn more about protocols and context, you should check out the documentation. We have in-depth explanation what every of this flag is. The next one is going to be the application ID. The application ID we get from the previous step, and with this it should create our new context. When we have context created, we are the owner of the context, and we can also invite other nodes inside the context. We will do that in the next video. And when the command is finished, we see that we have context was created successfully. One more thing to do is to verify that we have context installed successfully. We can do that with the meroctl context ls, and this will list all the context we have inside the node. So for example, we see here that we have the context ID, application ID, and the root hash. So one more thing we need is the context identity. We can read that by checking the context data inside the node, and context identity is used to call the change and view methods inside the Calimero applications. And as we can see, we get the back identity. Also, if you want to explore meroctl tool, you can do meroctl --help, and it will tell you all the possible commands you can do with meroctl. We're just going to do the basic ones in this tutorial. Now that we have the application installed and context is created, we can now call the application logic from the terminal with meroctl, and we are going to use the following command. You can see that we call, and we have the method name, which is set. To view which are the methods available in the logic, you can check the ABI JSON, or you can go through the librs file to see exactly in the code. We also do context ID, and for args, we send arguments in JSON format. We see that we have for key hello and for value world. You can see the arguments also in the definition of set function, and in the end we have as flag, where we add the context identity we previously viewed. When we run this command, we get the response. We have the success response. We also see JSON RPC output in JSON format, and for this function we see that the output is null because the set function or method is not returning anything. And with this we set our key value pair, and now we are going to fetch value for the key we set. Now we are going to use the similar command. It will have call get, which is a view method. We also add context and our identity, but for arguments we just put JSON for key hello. Let's run this command, and we see that we have JSON RPC response as success, and we see that we have result output world as the result, which is correct because we set hello world as key and value. This is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Follow up for the part 2 where I will use merod to show you exact same thing. Hope you enjoyed and see you in the next video.